we were sort of exploring the stillness or the quietness that seems to underlie all of our experience. And we said we're going to just go through various different methods of looking at that. Um, so I think first of all, we talked about it in a practice, and we talked about it as feeling a bit like the stillness of a stone or a pebble, which is that is their sort of inherent nature, is just to be still. They don't have to try to be still; they just are still. But the waves toss them about and throw them about on the beach, and that can feel a little bit like our day and just the turbulence of our day. But underneath it all, our nature is that sort of stillness or calmness, whatever word you want to use. There's not really a perfect word to sum it up, to be honest. And then on Friday, we used the technique where we look for the non-objective experiences. So we used sound. So sounds or noises would be our objective experience because they are objects that arise in our experience. I am aware of a sound, but then we sort of shifted our attention into the space between the sounds, so the silence between them and the silence behind them. And we said, well, sounds have to emerge from silence. Sounds don't emerge from another sound. It's not like there's a dog barking and then the sound of my phone somehow emerges from that dog barking. They all are sort of projected, if you like, onto this background of silence. So we tried to rest in the silence rather than in the noise and the distraction. And we said that I said, sorry, we didn't say anything. I said, you may have agreed with me or not. Hopefully you didn't agree with me and you checked it out. But I said that it's hard to distinguish the difference between our awareness and the silence because there's nothing to be aware of as such. There's no thing to be aware of. Silence isn't a thing, and neither is the awareness of it. So it's an interesting concept to play about with. So today we're going to carry on. We're going to look at it another slightly different direction. And again, it might work for you, it might not. I hope the reason I try lots of methods is hopefully I just hit home with different people with one method. But hopefully you take something from all of them. So yeah, make yourself comfy. And if there's any questions on this topic, just you can always shout or just ping me an email or whatever. Always better to ask if you're not sure about something. Okay, so make sure you're comfy as you can be. Just get rid of the distractions of the body. We're just going to take a slightly longer period to work on settling ourselves today because it's such a useful skill. So choose a focus for your concentration. It might be counting the breath if you're a sort of person that likes counting. It might be the egg-shaped breath, if you remember that, just following your breath around the shape of an egg, or a box breath, or it might be just listening to sensations in your body or sounds outside, but find something just to put your attention on. You get this solid anchor. The nature of our attention is that it tends not to be still, so don't be surprised that it's difficult. Attention is different from the underlying awareness. Attention stretches out towards objects. When you find that you're being pulled or tugged away from that point, just be kind to yourself. It's just our nature to be distracted, or our habit. Gently remind yourself to come back to your point of focus. You might feel that you can just soften any tension in your body. Probably won't be able to soften all of it. But now that your breath might have just settled, see if you can just scan through. Notice any areas you're holding tension, because that will be a distraction in itself. As you breathe out, just softening, finding a bit of space where it might feel like there isn't any space in the body. And now we're going to just start to break down the chain of what we actually experience. I'll just talk you through it. We'll start with sounds again. So notice the sounds that might be coming and going. There's just these noises. No one sound is constant. Even if it appears to be, as if the sound of the fridge humming or traffic outside, we might lump it into being a constant solid sound. But actually, that sound is constantly changing. It's coming and going. So we're going to break down our awareness of the sound. So first of all, we're noticing the noise, the noises that appear. My voice, noises inside and outside the house. And then we'll take one step back towards ourselves. We notice that there is the hearing of the noises. Try not to think through that as an idea because it can be impossible. But there has to be the hearing of the noises because we can hear them. Can you be aware of the hearing? That's resting in the hearing. And the hearing is completely open. Doesn't select what sound to hear or not to hear. There might be a filtering that comes after the thing is heard. Where maybe subconsciously you're filtering out sounds that you don't find pleasant or don't enjoy. But the hearing itself is totally effortless. It just receives. Then we're going to take one more step back. This will be a step back to ourselves, and that is, can we be aware of the awareness of hearing? It might sound like a bit of a conundrum. Try not to solve it. Just see if you can fall back a bit further. So there are clearly noises and sounds. There's clearly the hearing of the sounds. When we take one further step back, there is the awareness of the hearing. Can I find that awareness? Can I rest in the thing that just knows my experience? We can't look outwards to find it anywhere because we've traced backwards. And we can't even necessarily look inwards. It's maybe just an idea because we don't know the location of awareness. It's fairly impossible to point to. Can we just be aware of the awareness? the awareness of hearing. Simply trying to do that, just being aware of awareness, can immediately bring like a moment of complete silence and stillness, the blink of an eye. We'll just gently take that somewhere a bit more subtle, and we'll just notice thoughts. So it might feel literally like all of a sudden you stretch back out. Maybe you found yourself just aware of the awareness, and that felt very settled. And now we stretch back out again, and we're noticing thoughts. That can feel like a relocation. Not just thoughts, like emotions, feelings, any mental activity. Just see that it's present, or see that they are present, coming and going. Don't necessarily know what the next thought is going to be, what the next emotion is going to be. They might be subtle, or they might be quite powerful. But we're not engaging with them, we're just allowing them to come and go. So there's all this activity. And even if a thought or an emotion seems to be solid and unchanging, it's not. That's just an illusion. All of the thoughts, all of the emotions and feelings are a constant state of flux. So at this point, we're just practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness, being aware of everything coming and going. Now, this part may differ depending on your perception at the moment. For some of us, it might seem like there is a thinker thinking the thoughts or thinking the emotions, just like there was the hearing of the sounds. For some of us, it might feel that we can take one step back being aware of the thinking rather than of the thoughts. And that may be a subtle shift, or that might be a shift that some of us just don't see is there. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, so just stay with your experience. And for some of you, it might feel like there is just awareness of the thoughts. Sometimes it feels as if they're not really being thought. The thoughts are just seem to be appearing into awareness or from awareness. We don't really know. They just appear spontaneously and we're aware of them. So you'll either take one step or two steps backwards from the thoughts, but either way you will end up just resting with the knowing or resting with the knowing of awareness. Without the knowing, how would the thoughts even be there? There'd be nothing to know them. So we trace back right to our primary original experience. Our primary experience is knowing or being aware. Again, like before, we can't look directly towards it. Because it doesn't have any location or qualities of its own. It is the perfect, still, calm lake, or the mirror that reflects anything that it is aware of. You hear this analogy so often in Zen and Taoism. Of allowing ourselves to be the still waters of the lake or the mirror. and they're talking about this awareness or this knowing. So are we able just to know or feel or get a sense that this awareness is there? It's probably better to use the latter, because we just get a feeling, we just have a sense of awareness. And that sense is certainly behind all of the noise and the thoughts and the distractions. It's just beneath the surface. Just like you could say the mirror is just beneath the surface of the reflections on it. So now we'll just allow our attention to stretch out from that awareness or from that knowing, from that stillness, and just find our breath again. Again, you might feel as if you now reached out from a very still center. But we just find the breath as we stretch out. And just notice the breath is there, moving, has been this whole time. Even though we didn't need to get involved with it in any way. Just starting to feel that reconnection with your body, ribs moving, tummy moving, air coming in and out of the nose or the mouth. Finding that connection with the ground or the chair or the bed underneath you. And maybe starting to find some gentle movement, a little wiggle, a little stretch. Knowing it can take some time to adjust, especially when we've just fallen back to that just simple, still knowing. It can feel like a bit of an adjustment to then re-emerge back into all the things, but nothing has changed. We always only just knew there was only the knowing of everything arising anyway, just that we've rested back in it. So it can just feel like a bit of a disjunct when we emerge from just resting in the knowing. So that's all, just a shift of perspective. I hope that was useful. I hope that made some, well, as I say, I hope it made sense. It's very difficult to actually say it makes sense because there's nothing much to think about. It's just an experience. But yeah, I hope it was of use in some way. I'll unmute.